Welcome to Women's Essence magazine for and about powerful women. It's the holiday season, so it's a time of joy, happiness for the children. However, it can be very stressful for, of course, the women out there who are the ones who are going shopping for the presents, cooking for the Christmas dinner, and doing so much more. I read a survey by the American Psychological Association, APA, and they found that 44% of women report heightened stress during the holidays. And that's really concerning. You know, as women, we need to have our own outlet to help us get through, right? Because we need our mental health. Well, today, I'm so happy to have on my show Dr. Sarah Tedesco, who has been practicing psychiatry for the last 3 years as a resident. And she's here to share with us women how to cope, how to manage, how to deal during the holidays so we cannot have so much stress in our plates, all right? So, Dr. Tedesco, thank you for joining us. I'm so happy that you're here to help us women during the holiday season. So please tell us about yourself and tell us also how to get it together for the holidays.
Oh, thank you so much. Very happy to be here. Yes, a little bit about myself. So I'm heading towards the end of my training as a resident, and I'll be going into a fellowship soon, specializing in child and adolescent psychiatry next summer. Bigger things in the future. And I have to say, with my experience and my passions, even prior to training, have always been about finding your identity, finding boundaries, and self-care, ultimately who you are and being proud of it. And as a woman, and especially around the holidays, there is a large expectation. There is that traditional values that women tend to uphold more in society, in societal terms. And it can make things not only stressful, but also scary, lonely, overbearing, and overwhelming. So, this is where we really need to find it within ourselves to take a step back. And it's easier said than done. So it comes with time, it comes with habits. And I'm happy to share these with all the women.
Now, the last 3 years you've been practicing psychiatry. During this time, if you could recall, how many women have you been able to help to try to alleviate the depression that they may experience during the holidays? And actually, and also can you say what really causes the depression during the holidays?
So I guess to be on a general, it's a spectrum per se. So what one woman will define as depression for them when it comes around the holidays is different from someone else. It always comes down to variable factors that they are surrounded by, like what kind of environment are they living in? Is it rural, urban? What's the culture? What's the religion? There's so many things to it. Like, are they single? Are they in a family? Are they in a newly managed family? Like, are they newly married? What are their partners like? Of the women that I have treated around the holidays, I mean, I do my best to treat all of them. So, and sometimes with women, we like to ask more questions rather than go straight to a medication. So, I'm all for it. I am. I think women are more in tune to knowing something is wrong. I need to do something about it. And sometimes it's really hard to say no, but I'm very happy to see when they come, into my office and we can talk about it. The first thing is to talk about it. Who can you talk about it with? And I do help a lot of them cope with the stresses. I think the biggest stresses, like I said earlier, were just who they are as a person, their identity, and the crisis of the expectations they feel are held against them, and what to do about it, because it can easily just domino effect into the next seasons.
Right. And what, besides like you said, the medication, is it like dieting play a major factor in trying to help them? Dieting, exercising?
Correct. So it's on a range of things. So, when you look at the change of seasons, we go into the fall, winter, right? What happens? Well, we have daylight savings. We also have the change in the sun. We get less sunlight. When we get less sunlight, a lot of people tend to be very sensitive to sun, especially those with mood disorders. So what happens is educate, educate, educate. I do that it's something so simple and foundational and we forget about it. So, getting your routine blood work with your primary, or I will write it myself to have them get their vitamin levels checked. As we're stressing to buy holiday gifts or prepare for events, we tend to either overeat or undereat, and we're less exposed to the sun. So definitely always trying to educate my women here that we really need to always have vitamin D. Vitamin D leads to depression. It leads to osteoporosis. It leads to
Lack of it, you mean? Lack of
yeah,
vitamin D.
yeah,
Leads.
vitamin deficiency. So
Right.
if we don't supplement it, even if let's say like you need to be at this number is like 30 to 100. A lot of people tend to be on the low side, and once you go low, you're already at risk. And I always say, like, no matter what you do, exercise, eat right, like you really need to maintain those vitamin levels in order for your body to function fully. If you find yourself having low energy, low mood, try to look at, okay, what am I doing? Am I waking up too late? Am I waking up late where I'm missing the sunlight? Am I waking up too early where I'm missing also sunlight? And these are things that routine comes into play. Exercise and diet are very important. I always have those be the basics of the basic needs. Like you don't need a gym membership to take a walk and go around the block. Walk around your apartment or your home if you have to, even if it is pacing up and down. Having a glass of milk every morning. If you can't have dairy, what are the alternatives? And again, it goes back to supplementation. So, when you look on just the basic foundations of life, vitamins, exercise, and then mindfulness. So, what can we do about being mindful to these things? Journaling is a big one. Identifying what chaos is going on in our minds to really slow it down and bring that peace, bring that clarity to what we can understand better when it comes to our mindset of how to, get through the stresses. What are these stresses? Because once stress is released in the body, we create extra cortisol that leads to accumulation of glucose no matter. So if we don't eat enough, we tend to retain, or if we are not eating enough the right things, we look for the wrong things. We look for more sugar. So these are really like all medical things that we have to think about and be in tune to avoid those stresses from accumulating.
Wow. I was also reading in the same article how they mentioned about this called seasonal affective disorder, which is sad, which I never really heard of it. And, it's a type of depression that occurs during certain times of the year. So Tell us more about that. Like, how does that really affect us, women, actually?
Yeah.
Sad.
So seasonal affective disorder is actually not any longer in the DSM-5, but it is mentioned as something that was in the DSM-4. But it is something like now we look at when we evaluate the vital signs and we look at lab work for patients. Seasonal affective disorder is very much in tune to people with mood disorders and having vitamin deficiencies. There's a lot of other factors that can contribute to that with their mood. And so they have like an affective disorder where things just seem slower. If people aren't fans of cold weather, they want to go to somewhere warm. And that's usually what we tend to recommend to our patients is if you're feeling very down under the winter levels, like if you can find means to travel to somewhere warm and sunny, by all means. If not, there's actually a happy light you can buy at a Bed Bath & Beyond or on Amazon, very affordable. And every time you wake up, it gives you that sunlight so that you can avoid the low mood and depressive symptoms in the fall and winter.
So basically, what women can do for themselves, knowing that the holiday is always going to come around, right? This holiday season, especially Christmas, the New Year's, even before Christmas, Thanksgiving. Right. So, they would have to take preventive measures to help them cope, since they know their body, they know their mental state at the time. So what's some of the things that women can do to prevent them getting to SAD SAD?
So again, to prevent those kind of things, especially with depression, it's more when it comes to that is hydration. Hydration is very key. Around the holidays, a lot of people like to have alcohol.
I drink my water every day.
And coffee, and so we do need to hydrate every day. That's a big one. Waking up in the morning and having some sort of routine. I know women, we love to look at ourselves in the mirror. It's our skin care is like taken care of. These are things like putting yourself first and feeling like you are taking care of you're nurturing yourself. Before having that cup of coffee in the morning, a glass of water with lemon is so essential. It really
Mm-hmm.
uplifts the body. It helps with the inflammatory response. I'm a huge fan of a lot of women also, like a lot of my patients will tell me they love to juice. So anything that's anti-inflammatory to help with the mood in the winter, such as ginger, pineapple, cucumber, and apple in a juice blender. It's delicious, very healthy for you. Highly recommend it. Um, and then also just maintaining leafy greens, high protein diets. You know, when you want to look at how to prevent your mood from depleting itself, trying to also, as much as we love those sweets, we love the pies, we love the ice cream and the baked goods, it's all in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
So we really have to be mindful of those things as well. um, and then just, even if it is 20 minutes a day, it's 20 minutes a day of physical activity. That is your time. You know, no one can take that time away from you. And if you can even go for a walk, listen to a podcast, listen to some music just to get away, have something like prayer. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a religious background, it's so essential because it essentially brings a meditative state for you. And that can
Mm-hmm.
definitely be the biggest preventative measure as well.
How about for those women who have high stressful careers, and they have more than two kids, their husband, is not really helping on the house, and they're going through it, and it seems like they don't have time to implement those methods that you are sharing with us. So what else can they do? What can they do? What can they do, these kind of women who are out there
I would,
working so
yeah.
hard?
Sure. No, a good colleague of mine and a close friend once told me it's not about not having the time, it's about needing to make the time.
Mm,
So, if again, it comes back to mindfulness and being in tune to what you want your day to look like. If you want to have self care and be happy and be able to manage things around the house and and you're a successful, like high busy woman with multiple careers and ambitions with kids, this is how the investment is yourself. If you're not there, nothing matters. So we really have to be mindful too. Okay, if I'm waking up at this time and I have to get the kids ready for school, I need that extra half hour, which means I'm going to have to go to bed a half hour earlier. And in that half hour of time is my time of meditation, prayer, exercise, whatever it is that I choose to make my self care time so that I
mhm,
can sustain moving forward. Because if we don't do that, the inevitable is clear.
mm, mm. And the thing is this, with women, our mothers, we watch them go through it every year during the Christmas time. And I don't know about you, but my mother was always stressed out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, she made it clear. And growing up, I know some of the things that caused those stress could have been like financial concerns,
Sure.
emotional constraints, no support there. So it's like, how can we manage our emotions? How can we manage all these things that's on our plate that no one is helping us with? We have no support system.
Yeah.
So who can we turn to really when we like are getting to the point where I need the help, but there's nobody to help me because people are focusing on their holiday time with their family?
So a couple of avenues for that, because again, every person, there's generational trauma, as you say, like, mom, we saw mom go through a lot of those things, and then did we wonder, did mom get to do it right? It's not her fault. All she knew.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes down to, what do I want? What do you want? What would bring you joy? What would make you happy? What makes you feel purpose? Because as mothers as well, we tend to lose identity because we put it all into
Mm-hmm.
our kids and our marriages, our families, and we forget who we are. So that as our kids get older and they leave the home, what's next? Like, you forget who you are. You just revolved your life around everyone else, that you forget who you are. And you made the finances work. So now when you want to financially invest in yourself, you're like, wait, how, where, why? Okay, meditate, find that moment of peace, take a step back and say, what do we see
Mm-hmm.
ourselves as happy? What is my true self? What is my true purpose? What could bring me back out of this confusion, essentially? And that's what, like, you have to just really find it within yourself. And I say that to my, like, they come and ask me, they're like, what do I do? Sometimes some people have a person that they can go to. Sometimes their spouse is someone they can say all these things to. Sometimes they have a best friend, or sometimes, you know, their mother is someone they can look up to and ask for that advice. If they have that, that's an excellent protective factor. As we call it. If it's not there, this is where, like, you know, we hope that they have the ability to come to someone like us or a therapist, and we can help them get there. And the biggest thing comes down to identity, boundaries, and what brings joy into their life and purpose. And you know, we all have those different ambitions and goals and dreams. So maybe there was something that you wanted to do that you put on hold with having children, and now your children are grown and you couldn't afford it then, but maybe you can afford it now. You can, like, find that in you and do it now. It's all about finding it in and then making it work. And you're saying you want the help, so you look for the support. You find your community. You find your people. We live in a world where everything is so easy to grasp, online especially. So once you can search that, you look for it. And it's all about expanding your community and choosing your village.
Sometimes in this world we're living today, so you're so unsure who are the people in your village, you know, because I think in the world today we're living in a me stage, you know, and you have the right to live that way, me stage, and forgetting about everybody else, because we're trying to survive, and it's so hard. And for women, all we do is surviving but not thriving. And it's so important we begin to thrive when it comes to our mental health, right? When it gets better and stronger, right? So what would you say would be your 5 immediate tips that women should execute right away to get themselves back on track with their energy, their happiness, and, you know, them enjoying the holiday completely with no worries, if that's possible?
Again, it's I think very tailored for one to figure that out. So I guess 5 the big things. Getting a good night's sleep. I don't care how busy or successful you are. It is the only way our brains can reset and our mental health can thrive and quiet the noise, as I always like to put it. Sleep. Sleep is so key. Even to this day in psychiatry and neurology and medicine, we still don't understand why sleep is so important. We see things of what happens if lack of sleep occurs, like Alzheimer's and dementia. Like, all of these things can really progress earlier in life. So sleep is number 1. Number 2 is diet, nutrition. And I know that can sometimes be a financial burden for some, but it really comes back down to the essentials. If the vitamins are cheaper than the food, because I know food is pricey, get the vitamins. If the food is cheaper than the vitamins, get the food. Think about the basic vitamins of A, C, D, E. You know, these are huge for our brain to also get that mental health boost. When it comes to sleep and nutrition, now we need to keep the body moving. Our bodies are just as hefty as a car. Do we want to have a Lamborghini car? Do we want to have, you know, a 1990 Nissan Maxima or something like that, where it's really struggling? But hey, is it running real good? It's probably because you took care of it. You know, you slept well, you ate well, and now you are working it. You are running it. You're not leaving it in the driveway. So even I know it's hilarious. My patients laugh, but yes, I have a couple of weights in my office. Like, if I can't get a workout in between my patients, I am doing a couple of biceps curls. I'm doing some sort of a deadlift. Like, you make it fit. So get that exercise in. You know, track it on your watch, track it in a journal, like, just like as an affirmation that I'm going to work out today and be fit and persevere that. So diet, exercise, sleep. Those are big 3. Number 4 is identity. So I would say, when it comes to who you are as a person, what makes you you? Like, you know, are you somebody who loves fashion? Do you want to have, like, you know, finances might be tough. Can I buy gifts for everybody? Yes, but am I buying something for myself? You deserve that. You owe that to yourself to get something for yourself. Do not forget about yourself. You were brought into this world to be something. Allow yourself to embrace it. take care of yourself. Like, so if it's something like shopping, if you like to shop and you want to get that new pair of slippers, like you worked for it, you earned it, buy it. Don't expect somebody else to get it for you, buy it. If you have to like sacrifice getting gifts for somebody else, so what? If it's, let's say you want to run a marathon, you girl, train for it, do it. You got the kids, but you're letting your husband know, you're letting everybody, I'm training for a marathon. This is what I'm going to do. Like, your identity is what makes you thrive. It's what makes you move forward. Find who you are and keep it, and even if it's just one thing. So, and last but not least is find your people. You're not alone.
These are great tips.
Yeah. You know, find your people, find a platform that makes you feel heard and seen and validated, irregardless of the society where everybody's me, because at the end of the day, everybody's also looking for a community. So you will find somebody. But if you have your identity, no matter who people are not there for you, you can always go back to that. So that is why these 5 things, they kind of go interchangeable with each other. If you don't have those things, the mental health will decompensate. You will find confusion in your crisis of need, especially. You know, again, if your identity is church, and you have to you need that church in your life. You need to do the rosary every day, or you need to go to prayer on Fridays. I mean, that is your identity. Do not sacrifice that. And then when you have that, there is people that will observe it and see it and value it and be your community.
Right. So your 5 tips that you mentioned: sleep, nutrition, exercise, identity, and community. Did everybody hear that? You know, these are important 5 steps or tips that are really essential to helping women get through the holiday season, you know, so they can maintain their mental state to be very positive and knowing that they're going to overcome these obstacles that are out there. So I don't know about how you feel, but I really honestly feel in my heart that women are the matriarch in the family. They're the one who has to do everything for the family, and they always forget about themselves.
Yeah.
And when you say making sure you don't lose your identity and do things that you truly love, and what you said is sleep is important, and eating right, taking the vitamins you need to get yourself together. But it's so sad that not enough women are doing this. They're still not doing it, you know?
They're not. And you know what? It's so foundational. And the thing that's so beautiful, if they can keep that in track, it's magnetic. It's so magnetic. And I say magnetic because when you do you are the matriarch, you attract everything around you that wants to also be that way. You know, women with children, and they do these 5 things, the children get to now learn from a good example. Like, okay, this is what I have to do too. Mommy's successful because she's doing this. I'm going to do it too. Now you've inspired your children to find direction, rather look for it elsewhere. You have now established a stronger bond with your child because your child sees independence and strength in yourself. You know, and that is something I think we really forget, again, with the societal platforms of social media. We rely on everyone else, but like, especially women with children, your child looks up to you. You brought them into this world. Like, this is your time to also be a role model and a celebrity to your own kid.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So allow that for yourself to be that way. And it is really unfortunate. I'm not really sure where it got lost for women. That's a high number, like you said in the beginning, 44%.
Yes, 44%.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's a lot of factors, just because, again, when I just said, like, the child looks to the mom. So there's a lot of moms who they tried their best from a different time and a different generation, a different era. They didn't have internet. They didn't have this. They only knew what they knew. Yes. And then where are you following your example? You know, and but we have the knowledge now. We have access to resources to help remind us of that. And I'm hoping that becomes a contagion for women in a positive way, to spread that magnetic field that they can attract around them. I mean, think about it. Even spouses, their partners, if they see you thriving and being independent, it builds an even stronger bond with your partner because they are inspired by you. Because, yes, women are the matriarch, they do it all. So, they say the joke all the time, but when they see that, it makes them proud, it makes them want to be better. So now
Mm-hmm.
you've created this magnetic field of strength, and
Mm-hmm.
it's completely enlightening. It's completely beautiful to see when I do see a strong family come in
Mm-hmm.
and allow each other to have that autonomy and
Mm-hmm.
respect it.
Well, I know you studied psychiatry and you know the history with women. If you look back in the 1940s, 50s, how the doctors treated women, all
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
How they were unkind, they would just say that we were hysterical. So the way that kind of treatment they were
yeah,
giving to women back then, you know, um, I was shocked.
yeah. And we still have it to this day in women's health. I give OBGYN population a major, feat for them to still overcome. We with medicine, doctors just didn't study the women body, the women mind enough. It was always the male science. It really
Yes. Yeah.
female science when it comes to fertility, when it comes to hormones, when it comes to bodily changes. There really aren't any checkups that women really get like at every milestone. I mean, it's like when you hit your 20s, like what are the doctors asking you? Like, do you want to start a family? What, like, because roles of women in the 1940s was you stay home, you cook, you clean, take care of the kids. There wasn't really room for education. If there was, you really were family less because you weren't seen as someone like parents wanted to support because they wanted to be
Right.
grandparents on their own and they become independent. Um, but then they're alone and like they're like that's not what it still needs to be to this day. And unfortunately, there is a light that says that when women do find like those 5 tips that they tend to be at the top alone. That's not true. That's a choice. Your choices come with your growth. And if you choose to be in your bubble with no one else around you, that is your choice. But if you don't like it, you are allowed to have a family. You are allowed to have a community of people you want to go to. It is allowed. And that comes from being graceful to yourself.
Yes.
And it is really unfortunate, like what the evolution of woman, in the eras that have come to this point. And, my job is to try to remind women all the time of these things so that you
Mm-hmm.
can give yourself that grace and allow yourself to have that autonomy, that identity and community, and bring back the original essentials.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Women at the end in the 1940s actually did take care of themselves probably better than men did because men were just the breadwinners. If you think about
Mm-hmm.
it, they came to work, they worked really hard. There was probably substance abuse too. I mean, people on Wall Street with cocaine abuse, and you go the prohibition era, men would still go and drink. uh,
Mm-hmm.
Poor outcomes like affairs, and women always maintained themselves, but their identity was always misconstrued. They needed.
And I have to add, they were stressed out though. They were still stressed out with with their men behavior.
Of course,
Their,
of course.
their husband's behavior. So they would get stressed out and everything, and feeling alone because they'll be home by themselves while their husbands are out there drinking with their friends, partying and doing Lord knows what.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they just felt alone. And when
Mhm.
they did speak about it, they'll say, "Oh, you're just hysterical." And then to go see the doctor. The doctor will give them pills or they will shock them, from what I read. So that was like really ridiculous to me. And that's why this is important to me for
Mhm.
women to understand. They can take back their own power.
Exactly.
Especially during the holiday seasons where everything is falling on them.
Hmm.
you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
Especially a career woman working, to climb up the ladder. It's tough. It's tough. And you find yourself sometimes alone because of all the stress you're going through and everything's on you. You gotta make sure everything's done. You don't have time to really be with family because you're busy working during the holidays too. So there's a
Correct.
lot. And I just really hope that women will really take heed to the 5 tips you have given us, that you have shared, important tips to help us get through.
Yes. No. I mean, listen. I come from like a traditional Italian, Middle Eastern background, and there's always around this time of the year Christmas cards, and You know, I'm very busy myself. Like I'm very active with my training as a psychiatrist, research, you know, being a wife, and you know, working on having a family. There's so many things going on I don't have time, and I've learned to be like, no, I'm not doing it. I
Good.
could
Say
do
no.
it, but I won't. And if my family loves me and appreciates me, they will respect that, because not everybody has those means. And just because I didn't doesn't mean I neglected you. I allowed myself to heal and be still successful and thriving. And if, you know, and that is okay. And that's what other women, my family members, need to know. They were like, "Oh, you're not doing them?" I said, "No." And they're like, "Oh, okay. Is everything okay?" I was like, "Everything's fine." I was like, we can have a phone call one day. Like, so it's always about making choices and changing your habits and people. Like, you know, sometimes family isn't always there, so your friends become your family. It's how you choose to find your identity and community. Like those last two, other than the big three, you know, foundational essentials. So it's okay to say no, and it's okay to put things on hold. It's what you can do. It's what makes you who you are, and that's okay. Everybody's had their modes of able to do everything every year, but are they happy? Are they, at the end of the day, are they like not stressed? I'm sure they're so stressed. So it's a choice that we have to make, and sometimes traditions have to be mended a little differently, but it's all about the communication with your people, and they'll be okay. Like, love is love. You'll find your.
And the good thing is you're being honest with yourself.
Yes, exactly.
You know, so that's the most important thing. You have to be honest with yourself, know what you can handle, know your limitations. And people have to respect that, because you're not going to go crazy. And I can see that by your beautiful face. You know, your face looks flawless. So I know you're following your own five tips. You're getting a good night's sleep every night, I'm sure.
Yes, very essential. I love my sleep, because then I know that I can go to the gym in the morning. I know that I can get that done, and I get excited because that's my time. You know, if I do that because I did something else to make someone else happy, I forget who I am. It's so easy. And I think women just feel the need to do everything when they really don't have to, and it's okay if you can't.
Yeah, you just want to be the superwoman. You want to be that person.
Listen, we can bear children. We are superheroes no matter what. Someone told me that the other day, and like I was like, "You are so right. We can create a child, a human life, and go right back to normal."
Yeah.
So we
have no choice.
Yeah. We really are magical that we can create life and then still function afterwards.
Well, Dr. Dezhetsko, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy holiday, season that you have things to do.
Thank you.
For being here to share important 5 tips to help other women out there who are not feeling at their best during the holiday seasons, or they're feeling depressed or anything like that. So hopefully they will, take note of what you're saying, and they will execute it and implement it in their own lives from this point on, to handle for every holiday season we have, So I'm excited to definitely share your information with everyone. And I think that's something that's great that we're doing for women out there. So ladies, thank you for joining us. And hopefully you did get good information from the doctor herself, Tedesco. And hopefully you're going to have a great Christmas and New Year's with your family. So thanks again.